ESG lead at the Kenya Green Building Society. The Kenya Green Building Society is a not-for-profit, member-based organization that has the main objective of transforming the built environment with sustainability in mind. And we do this through education, advocacy, and certification. And we work in several ways, but key amongst them is as an established member of the World Green Building Council, we engage government, both on national and county level, industry, and individual businesses with the aim of creating this transformation and having key stakeholder engagement to drive policy towards that direction through both projects and work streams. So one of the things we have to do as KGBS, and we're trying to do as KGBS, is building that awareness that as the world goes green, one of the things we would want to incorporate into buildings is also the e-mobility aspects of that. And so one of the things we're doing now is interacting with e-mobility platforms and organizations to see how that can then be incorporated to our members and also our policy discussions. So I would say currently there are limitations because we almost, as a country, view green as something separate from just generally our framework. We look at green as something which is a separate consideration from policies generally. So the first thing we're doing is saying that the only way to do things is sustainable, not to consider it as an addition. Sustainability should be part and parcel of all policies and regulations, because if you do things sustainably, that's how then your laws are implemented and enforced for the long term and for the benefit of citizens and businesses depending on those policies. And for that reason, we're working with, for example, the Laikipia County government on their green building guidelines. Recently, I got appointed to the Urban Development Task Force, and the reason for that is the recognition now, slowly but surely, by government that sustainability is part and parcel of the discussion we need to have, and it's not something that is westernized or something that is convenient, it's necessary. So currently we're in discussions with 2 universities. If I remember correctly, it was Kenyatta University is one of them. And what we're trying to do is instill, building green as part of the curriculum. So we're in discussions with lecturers. This is a discussion we're having in partnership with the IFC and lecturers to see how this can be incorporated at university level. And then separately, recently we signed an MOU with UNICAF to see how then we can benefit our members with education opportunities and scholarship opportunities. And then through this platform, then we are getting assisted by UNICAF to see how we can introduce sustainability courses to our membership and beyond. So that then the more, if you like, the more we shout about it, the more then education institutions take it up. And then if there's an incentive that there's a scholarship, then even generally, even without the local education institutions, the youth will take this up, because if there's a demand for it in the market and then it translates to an opportunity, then we'll have uptake. Yeah. So the first thing I would say is there is a misconception that green equals 1% problem. It's not. It's, as you correctly pointed it out, it also affects the bottom. If you like, the bottom of the pyramid. It's everyone's problem. I think one of the key issues that we have is, as Kenya, or generally just as Africa as a continent, we have adopted westernized concepts without looking at our local frameworks and local situations. And one of the things we're trying to do as KGBS is to say sustainability is affordability, and affordability is key, so that, for example, when you think of green financing, or financing to help with climate change, what we need to look at is it needs to address the gaps that ensure local populations are benefited, and this means including the urban poor, not excluding them. So that means we need to look at what affordability means to the local Kenyan, person who survives on $1 a day. And these are the conversations we're having with government right now, so that we can break that barrier or misconception and then take it to market. Essentially, a green building is a building that considers energy efficiency and environmental impact when it comes to its design, and of course also impact on the consumer of the building or the occupant of the building. That's what a green building essentially is. So when you think of that, to me anyway, my view is, isn't that just generally what a building should be? Yeah, because any building really should be safe to occupy, should not cause environmental harm, and also should ensure that the person occupying it is safe. In the recent past, we found out that some materials used for buildings, for example paint, was a cause of asthma for children. So is it really something the West should tell you? I don't think so. I think, and this is very African even, because even from our setup, the African communities were communal, and it was because we believed it takes a village to raise a child. So through this, I think the concept of green, it might sound different and new, but essentially I think we're just actually going back to what we used to do. It's just formalizing it. Through our partnership with FSD Kenya, we have several initiatives, but key among them is what we call the Jenga Green Library. And the Jenga Green Library is a one-stop shop, or aims to be a one-stop shop, which allows us to address a supply chain issue. And that supply chain issue is essentially this. We are saying we need to build green, so we need to help consumers have access to companies or entities that provide sustainable materials. So this is one of the things that we're trying to do through the Jenga Green app, connect the consumer to people who can help them have sustainable materials. And then separately, also connect the consumer to organizations or businesses that have professionals who can assist you on your sustainability journey. So by connecting the dots, we're hoping we'll address the circularity issue, and we'll also provide us with the basis to approach government and say policy needs to help us address recycling issues, sustainability issues, and also incentivize people who are trying to do the right thing. We have been named the Climate Change Champions of Africa. I think that carries with it an enormous responsibility. It means we've been recognized as leaders of the sustainability agenda in Africa, and especially with COP being this year in Africa as well, I think Kenyans in particular and Kenyan policymakers have both a tremendous obligation and an opportunity. We have the opportunity to show to lead the region and show the world that Kenya can start off these conversations from a policy perspective. But second, we also have the obligation to ensure that even within government, our government structures compliant with green principles. Are we sustainable or wasteful in how we utilize our resources? And this is something that the government needs to consider, so that they're not just accountable, from a reporting perspective for themselves, but also to the citizens who elected them. They need to be sustainable in how they operate from a resource perspective, from how they spend from a financial perspective, and also if we want investors to take us seriously, right now, majority of investors also are keen to know that the projects they fund not only make money, but they're also keen to understand how these projects make money and what their impacts are on local communities. So I think for me, that's my 2 cents for them, that they need to walk the talk.